I feel pretty comfortable saying Duke basketball's got the toughest non-conference schedule in America, and I absolutely love it.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is J.J. Jackson. Thanks so much for being here with us today on Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. And on today's show, I want to highlight this non-conference schedule that has officially been finalized for Duke men's basketball for the upcoming season. We'll talk a little bit as well about Duke football having their game day tomorrow. They take on Elon to open up the year. Then our pal Josh Cox is here with us to break it all down with us on today's show. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Watch us each and every day on YouTube as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. We're on Instagram and TikTok too. So many great things for us to be discussing this time of year, and really fired up to be looking at this non-conference schedule for the Duke Blue Devils, who, again, proved themselves time and time again with the big schedule that they put together. So we bring him on into the program now. Our good pal Josh Cox back with us once again. And, we kind of knew a lot of these dates and games and whatnot. The official dates for some of them were finalized specifically for Duke. But, John Scheyer's putting together a gauntlet.
Oh, absolutely, JJ. It's impressive. I mean, if you score extra points for putting together a tough schedule, then John Scheyer is scoring extra points. And, look, I think most sports fans, the reason why they're sports fans is because they have this competitive nature and edge about them. And so if you're a competitive person, then you absolutely love the philosophy that John Scheyer is taking in the non-conference. So, if you're a Duke fan, and if you're one of the few Duke fans that are like, no, I want us to only have, 2 losses on the season, and inflate those numbers, then whatever. But, I believe most competitive fans are like, hey, play the most difficult people you can play them in the non-con, get this team ready for what's going to take place in March and April. And then it's going to be some incredible entertainment, right? In November, December, and I think there's February. There's a good one as well, but really November and December, there's going to be some incredibly, fun games to watch and entertaining games to watch for Duke basketball fans.
Yeah, for the Blue Devils last year, the 13 games, they went 11-2. So they had those 2 non-conference losses, and you could argue, that was a really tough schedule that Duke just went through. And it turned into a Final Four run. You talk about if there were any extra points awarded for putting a schedule together like this, how great that would be. The gamble is that there are, right? That when you're starting to build your NCAA tournament resume, when the ACC, if it doesn't kind of correct how bad of a year it was last season, and I think it will, you're really going to benefit from some of the RPI boosts that you could get and net rating boosts from wins in games like this.
Oh, for sure. The more quad 1 wins you have, the better off your resume looks. And, we hear that all throughout the season. But, it's the truth. And, obviously a non-conference win over a Texas Tech is going to matter a whole lot more than a non-conference win, over Wofford, right? Yeah. It just is what it is. And then, like I said, for the pure entertainment value of it, Duke fans get treated to Final Four level matchups early in the season. And that's become the norm now. But this season it seems like there'll be more than usual.
Not that we needed expectations to increase or anything like that. That's been happening every year since Mike Krzyzewski brought this program to a point where it was, and John Scheyer certainly is built off of that. But when you put together a schedule like this, people are going to expect big things out of this Duke team You and I are in that same boat as well, and I'm excited to see all the pieces, how they fit, how they come together, and whatnot. And this schedule is another point, proof of all that work that they're putting in behind the scenes to get ready for the upcoming season.
Well, yeah, it shows you. I believe it shows you. The coaching staff and Coach Scheyer and his crew, the belief that they have in this roster. Right. I do believe that there's a reason why these last 2 years they have intentionally, increased the difficulty in the non-con, and it has to be because, not to be, just like taboo here, but like because Coach Scheyer legitimately believes that this team can make a deep, deep run to the Final Four, compete for their national title. And in order to get his team prepared for that, they need to go through the gauntlet that they're going to go through.
Schedule here for the Blue Devils. It's on our screen, those watching on YouTube. Highlighted by the start with exhibition games against UCF and Tennessee, the Tennessee game being played in Thompson on the road for the Duke Blue Devils. And then they open up against a major conference opponent in Texas in Charlotte, a neutral site affair for the Blue Devils to get the season started. Duke will play power conference opponents Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, Florida, Michigan State, Texas Tech, and Michigan. Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible. That is incredible. We should have done this beforehand, but there's a lot of national titles and Final Four appearances represented among those schools. Look, man, John Scheyer gets to go coach against the best coaches, right? He gets to put his players, true freshmen, Cameron Boozer and Dame Sarr and the rest of them. They get to play against, the best players in the country. And it's the reason why these guys choose Duke. It's the selling point when John Scheyer, Carrawell, Dildy, when they're in, these guys' living rooms, this is what they're telling them. You come to Duke, you play on the biggest stages, you play with the brightest lights, you play against the best competition. You're going to be prime time, as often as possible. And Coach Scheyer's delivering on that. And it's a crazy, incredible schedule, by the way. Incredible.
Yeah, I look at this in the power conference opponents. The big road tests for Duke will be at Michigan State, a return trip that's been due for a couple of years since the COVID season. And then neutral site games like we talked about against Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, Texas Tech, and Michigan. Duke will play the Florida Gators inside Cameron Indoor. So they'll have one home game against Power Conference, and it's against the reigning national champions. So not too shabby work that's done here. The final pieces to the schedule for the Blue Devils, Western Carolina is on the schedule for the Blue Devils at home. Then they've got the road game at Army, which a lot of people are excited about that game, myself included, just to see that play out. In West Point, really cool opportunity for Duke. And then Indiana State, they've got a brotherhood run with Greg Paulus's Niagara squad, Kenny Blakeney's Howard bunch following that, and then Lipscomb rounds out the non-conference. So in total, there you've got your 13 games to open up the year for Duke.
Yeah, and just to note, you mentioned the Army game. That is also on Veterans Day. So
good point.
Really cool. I mean, that's gonna be a special one for sure. And you mentioned the brotherhood connection there with Howard and Niagara, and then you also have that UCF game. With I know it's an exhibition game, but you do have Johnny Dawkins returning to Cameron, and so then this schedule has got I believe it's potentially like a perfect non-con
right.
schedule. They really did a great job.
Now we just need a perfect record, right? Now we just need to go 13-0 in all those games. That'd be amazing if no
doubt. We need that freshman class to play with perfection.
Right. Be ready to go. Here we go. We're testing you right out of the gates. All right, let's continue this thought on basketball here in just a moment. We'll talk a little bit more about what this schedule means next. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Supply House. When opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keeps you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House can take care of that. It's an absolute game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. What you can do right now is join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Supply House is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Our show today is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, jumping in live as the action unfolds. We saw Futures Day yesterday. Still time to do futures bets and whatnot. So many different ways to get in on the action. Quick, easy, and fast to add a little bit of energy to your Sundays. So are you ready? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. FanDuel is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, showtime, baby. We keep going. Josh Cox is here talking Duke basketball. We'll get to football here in just a moment. But for the Blue Devils, they have now finalized this non-conference schedule. We know their ACC opponents as well, as, again, the conference continues to expand. So Duke won't see the Miami Hurricanes and Jay Lucas, for example. But as we kind of think about this whole schedule in totality, Josh, I really do feel like they've done whatever they can to kind of prepare this team for March, for the big tournament when it matters most.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Duke's not in control at all of the ACC scheduling, but you alluded to it, in the first segment. But the goal is that the ACC, begins to return to what the ACC has been, and then these quad one non-conference, games. It's not that they don't matter, but it's like, man, if it was, if you think back, if it was like Duke playing, a top 10 UNC twice a year, and then playing a top 10 Virginia twice a year, and, throw in a top 25, a couple of other top 25 ACC teams, then, I mean, the strength of schedule is like tops of the nation, and there's no question. Unfortunately, where Duke sits is, you're at the mercy of kind of the ACC at this point. And I mean, I'm sure that Duke feels, similarly, like, hey guys, like, we need you to be better. Like, we need the rest of the ACC to be better. Like, we can't go into these like Tuesday night,
Right.
Duke playing, Virginia Tech, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like, we need Virginia Tech to be a bubble team. We need Virginia Tech to like play well. So, that's all that to say the ACC schedule is set. And the only thing you can control is that non-con. And I do think that what you're seeing now, I believe in the past, there was a lot more future planning, and there still is some of that future non-con planning, but you're seeing Duke get creative. Like you started hearing about some of these non-conference games, like just a couple, 3 months ago.
Right.
And they secured them. And so, that I think you're seeing a little bit more flexibility with college basketball programs scheduling a little bit later, I guess later would be the right term, but scheduling, this upcoming season, some big time games. Whereas in the past, I think that was 2 to 3 years out.
Right. We'll kind of pivot year by year, as opposed to your point, having it set in stone and hoping that teams are what we want them to be and whatnot. And then another big development that's happened this past year, and it'll carry over again this year, as we saw Duke's going to play that February non-conference game in the heart of their ACC schedule. This year will be against Michigan in Washington, D.C. And I like it from the mindset of we've been in conference play. Let's jump in. And again, here are going to be tournament level teams we expect to go up against.
Well, it happened last year with Illinois and in New York. And, I believe, JJ, you and I spoke about this, was like, hey, the ACC schedule's been weak, this and that. but Duke's going to play Illinois, and we're going to really see what Duke is all about when they play Illinois. And boy, did we, right? We did. It validated, the skill and ability of last year's team. So I would hope, once again, you're kind of at the mercy of Michigan. Like, hopefully Michigan is a top 25 team, as Illinois was for the majority of last season. Hopefully Michigan's a top 25 caliber team, and we could say the same thing. Hey, if the ACC is still down again, we're going to see what Duke has to offer, playing Michigan in DC, getting close to the end of the season. And so those are, to me, that's a barometer game, and it's going to tell the coaching staff, like, hey, does this team have what it takes to make a run, or do they not? And I think these fans will see it.
And then just, you're in these tough road games, that portion of the year against ACC opponents. But then when you get to the tournament, it's not road games. It's more on a neutral site. And so then you can get back to your mindset. And the ACC tournament already does that to some extent, which I love at the end of the season. Love the ACC tournament. And you got Duke in those neutral site games to get you set for what it'll be like in March Madness. But it's just different when you can play what you said you hope to be NCAA tournament quality opponents or in a neutral site setting to get you set up for March.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hear all the Duke haters for the last 15, 20 years who have said, Duke doesn't play true road games. I mean, I get it. Honestly, there's something really cool about last year's team going into Arizona.
Yeah.
And winning. Like, there's something cool to be said about that. Duke gets assigned road games in the ACC, what used to be Big Ten Challenge, now ACC, SEC Challenge, periodically. This year, somehow we got back-to-back home games.
Yeah.
So I'll take it. But anyway, we are the class of the conference, I guess. But you get those. And while that does help, it helps in the ACC schedule, because when you go on the road to Chapel Hill the first time, when you go, to these difficult environments to play, you've played a true road game before. But the neutral site games get you prepared for March and April. And, to me, that's the most important. The prime thing that Duke is preparing for is not necessarily to go on the road, to play Georgia Tech on a Saturday afternoon, but it's to play at a neutral site game in the Sweet 16. Yeah. And so these games absolutely prepare the Blue Devils for that.
I want to be prepared for March and April, man. We got everydayers always dialed in that time of year, and hopefully we're able to talk about really good things with the Duke basketball squad once that comes around. So really impressed. Again, do think this is the absolute state of college basketball, Duke being the top class, like you talked about, with putting a schedule together like this in hopes of a great season being put together. So that's basketball today. We've got football game week, though, that's taking place for the Blue Devils as well. Tomorrow, Duke plays a football game. How wild is that? We love it. We'll talk about that in just a moment here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Today's show brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and so much more. I was able to see things like how much I spend on food delivery, so now I'm able to budget smarter and save a whole lot more. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Monarch Money is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, football. Here we go. It is here. Duke plays tomorrow against Elon to open up the season. They played Elon last year in a 26-3 win to debut the Manny Diaz era. Now we go into tomorrow night's game. FanDuel has our guys favored by nearly 5 touchdowns in this thing, and we'll finally see toe meet leather. We'll kick it off, and the season will get rocking and rolling, man.
I mean, it's been a long time coming. Since that forgettable Gator Bowl experience to finish last season. But
many people did forget that.
Yeah, for sure. But there's been some changes. Well, relatively speaking, there's not been a ton of changes. If you compare Duke's football program to other football programs, Duke had minimal turnover, but you had some major position turnovers, obviously at quarterback with Darian Mensah coming in, and all the noise around that, all the hype around that. And so I think, Duke fans are definitely looking forward to seeing, Darian Mensah, at quarterback, see what he can do, see what his skill set is. And then obviously wide receiver room has changed quite a bit. Some transfers hit there, some transfers hit in the secondary. Going to see a couple of guys in the secondary that had really worked themselves into the rotation last season and now going to take on that kind of full-time starting role in the secondary. So there's a lot of little storylines. You got a couple true freshmen, two of the most highly touted freshmen in Bradley Gompers and Bryce Davis, listed at third in the depth chart in their respective positions. Going to see, how they work themselves into some snaps. There's a lot to look at in that game tomorrow night in Wallace Wade.
J-Man told me that Jaquez Moore scores the first touchdown of the season, and he did last year against Elon. I went Samir Hagans. I went that department. What about you?
Well, if I can't take Jaquez Moore,
you can absolutely. Hagans, you can absolutely.
I'm gonna.
I want to hear what your heart thinks. Tell me what the heart thinks.
And I'll tell you what it's going to be, just for karma's sake. It's going to be a Darian Mensah scramble for a touchdown. That's what it's going to be. I'm speaking it into existence.
Yeah.
And the stadium
this guy can run. He can run.
The stadium is going to explode. It's going to explode as much as possible in an Elon game. It's going to explode.
That's actually the perfect scenario. I like that.
Yeah. For sure. That would be, if I could speak something into existence, I would speak that into existence for sure.
What if, we might be setting ourselves up for just this awesome day through the air passing for Darian Mensah, but you look at the box score and there are no passing touchdowns and our guy ends up scrambling for 3, against it. We'll take it. We'll absolutely take it.
For those ACC football fantasy owners, it doesn't matter how he scores the touchdowns. Just score the touchdowns.
You just want the quarterback involved in getting into the end zone. So
that's right.
No question. Going to be ready to go. Elon scored 3 last season against this Duke defense. Again, at first game of the year, it's really difficult to throw a shutout. I'd love to see that, but we'll have to see. I think this defense, though, is certainly ready to get back after it and start hitting some people that aren't wearing the Duke helmet like they've been in practice.
Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year where you've been playing against your teammates and practicing against your teammates and hitting your teammates, and it's like it'll be nice to see Garnet and Gold or whatever they are on the other side there and be able to hit some other people. But yeah, I believe the shutout would be great, right? I mean, if you think back to Coach Elko's first season, that was a 30-0 shutout of Temple.
Yep.
We almost shut out Clemson. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
And then last season, as you mentioned, I will say it is difficult to shut a team out because you have different philosophical adjustments that take place, right? So if your squad gets up by several touchdowns, 28 points, 35 points, or whatever in the third quarter, you could take the philosophy of, hey, let's keep the pedal, to the metal here. Let's shut them out. Let's make a statement. What does that truly gain you, right? I think the more valuable thing to do, and what I believe, and he's not said this, but what I believe Coach Diaz would do in those situations is, hey, who do we need to get reps? Who are the guys that we need to see in real game situations? Because we need to develop that 2 deep. We need to know what we have in the 2 deep. And down in that third string. And so, what are some freshmen that we can get in here? Like, what are some guys who maybe didn't get a high snap count last season? And so I believe you'll see that philosophy a little bit more. And so I do think, garbage time or whatever, you may see a score. Of course, we could both be wrong, and like they could drive down on opening kickoff and score. So we'll see. But yeah, pitching a shutout in football is extremely difficult.
So here's what I've been doing is, you mentioned the Temple game, 30-0. Quickly, I've been going back through box scores here and year-by-year results for Duke over the last 10 years, trying to find you another one where Duke had a shutout. And unfortunately, there really haven't been that many in the last 10 years. One of the most recent ones I found was in 2021, where Duke actually was shut out themselves 48-0 against Virginia. And we just like to forget things like that, man. I was like, ooh. Thankfully, times are much better right now.
Yeah, not to open up old wounds there, but I believe that was the game when I'm like, yeah, this is over. Like, this is going to be, there's going to be a coaching change happen. And people can say what they want to say, but it's going to happen. And yeah, once again, when you're on the receiving end of a shutout, it's bad because it's seriously tough to shut out any competitive football team. It really is. And when you are the one that gets shut out, I mean, you really have to take a look at yourself and go like, hey, like what, there's something bad wrong here. So
I found it. 2015, Duke 55-0 over NC Central. So there are a couple that have taken place in the last 10 years where Duke comes up with a shutout. We'll see if they have it. And then, hey, you got the weekend off to give yourself extra days to get ready for that Illinois game coming up. I know for Duke people that are big college football fans, it's nice to be able to fully lock into some of those other great games we'll see across the country this weekend. But I do like, from the Duke perspective, getting a few extra days to get ready for Illinois.
No, it definitely helps. It definitely helps, in, like you said, in multiple ways. As a fan, you get to watch. You get to sit down wherever you want to sit down and watch. Texas and Ohio State, right? You get to watch all those. Whatever games you want to see, Clemson and LSU, and like all the
Notre Dame, Miami. Yep.
Notre Dame, Miami. The juggernaut. ACC versus SEC, Syracuse versus Tennessee. But anyway, don't sleep on Syracuse.
Yeah.
Crazy tough schedule, but it's the first game of the year. They're good. Anyway, that we're not here to do those types of predictions. But yeah, and then for internally, you definitely give yourself as a program for Duke a couple of extra days, probably get a day off on Friday and or maybe Saturday, however they choose to do that. But it'll help with preparation. It'll help the coordinators, the analysts and scout, guys to get prepared. And then Duke's got to get ready for the Illinois game. And if I can say this here, because I know this is maybe a little bit of a different audience than what listens to our podcast, there are a good number of tickets still remaining for the Illinois game. And Duke fans that are local.
Go get your tickets.
Oh, man, like this is a top 15 matchup. Like this is not the day to stay home. It's a 12 noon kickoff. That means you can get up, get some breakfast, hit the game, and still be done in time to go have dinner, hang out with friends in the afternoon and evening, go back home, watch other football games. So take advantage of the 12 noon start. Duke doesn't get a lot of those. And take advantage of that game. Come out like that. You don't want to have an ACC high noon, ABC high noon kickoff game and Wallace Wade looked like old school Wallace Wade when no one showed up. So got to get people out there.
Got to have a good environment for that one. Also this weekend, we'll see the Beamer Bowl in Atlanta, Virginia Tech, South Carolina.
Yep.
And then come Labor Day, Monday, we'll see Bill Belichick on the sidelines. We'll see what that looks like. So, Josh, I'm excited to be able to see you throughout the season, talking football, talking basketball with you as well. I know you've got a lot of work with your team, so tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, for sure. The Section 17 podcast, man, we are rolling. Our feed is like, we have way too much stuff we're doing right now, which is great. So if you follow along on X at Duke FB Talk, Instagram, the same handle. But yeah, we've got a lot going on. And listen, we put out a little hype reel. It would have been on Tuesday evening, and hit my notifications and saw that our guy Ken Jong, Dr. Ken, had hit the retweet. Just found out earlier on Wednesday morning that he hit the repost on Instagram as well. So, I mean, we're getting some love from like the VIP alumni. So, yeah, appreciate that. But yeah, if you could follow, obviously our YouTube is big for us. If you could, as you do here on Locked On, you guys are approaching. Have you hit it yet?
We hit 4,000 subscribers.
Come on, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. So we are simply trying to hit 1,000. We're still
get them there.
We're still at the 1,000. So
run the numbers up.
Yeah, subscribe on both of ours. Obviously, commenting and all that stuff. It just helps. And, we're all about talking about Duke, right? On Locked On Blue Devils. It's about, your team every day, right? But it's all about listening and talking about Duke all the time. We're the same over there. We highlight football, but, we're all about that. So anytime that we can add to the family, the Duke family, we want to do that. And so we appreciate all the support.
Josh, I'll talk to you again next week. All right.
Sounds good, man. We'll see you, JJ.
Josh Cox joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. And that's going to bring our show today to a close. Thank you, everybody, for your support. As Josh said, be sure to follow us wherever it is that you get your podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.